Regarding the suspended strike, what was the reasons given by NLC for suspending the strike?
Um, from our own perspective and from what is in the public domain, NSC is claiming, TUC particularly is claiming that federal government have acceded to all their positions, all their requests, which includes, but not limited to, their requested salary structure that is 200,000 as minimum wage. That I don't know how federal government hope to implement. And if you look at the position of NSC, Nigeria Labour Congress, that federal government that they cited the issue of national unity, the mood of the country, and they equally cited the decision of the National Industrial Courts. But for me, the only cogent reason I may see that necessary the suspension that is justified is the National Industrial Court judgment. As unfortunate as it is, I think that should be only compelling reason why NSC and TUC should suspend that industrial action. Because any other reason for me is not reasonable. How can you be telling me that federal government that is not known to be responsible when it comes to obeying promises, you are relying on the just promise of words and claiming that they have acceded to all your demands? For me, I think NSC is a bunch of disappointment, both NSC and TUC.
Honestly, bunch of disappointment in that. They are not aware that you can't think of a salary review without passing through the legislative chambers. Or are they playing to the gallery? What exactly is happening? Can just mere discussion or conversation settle the case of salary increment? And how did they condescend too low to such extent to accept the promises made? And what do you think the masses will feel about that?
Because for me, I think the masses were looking up to NSC and TUC as the mouthpiece and the necessary pressure group for the common man. But they have turned out that to me, it have turned out to, for Nigerians to understand that NSC and TUC are not necessary pressure group. That perhaps they are only there because of their pecuniary interests and selfish interests. But otherwise, how do you justify a position where you have ab initio said the federal government should return to status quo, meaning all the pump price as announced by NNPC should be reversed until after negotiation? We are still seeing the same NSC and TUC saying that they are suspending the strike while federal government refused to revert to the status quo. So for me, I think it is a question of the masses, the citizens taking their destiny in their own hands, because it has shown that NSC and TUC do not have what it takes to fight for them, or rather they are not interested in fighting for them. Even the very workforce they represent.
How do you mean taking their destiny in their hands, into their hands, under this circumstance?
Taking destiny into their hands, there are so many. There is a particular approach to it. In the Nigerian constitution, the Nigerian citizens have freedom of right of protest as long it is done within the ambit of the law. It is done without violence and all that. So if Nigerians are free, going by the constitution, to go out or to go out into the streets and protest against what they may term hardship occasioned by this subsidy removal. Maybe why we may not have seen such reaction is because the actual effect of the removal have not yet gotten to the point where Nigerians will start reacting. Because don't forget that even all the PMS in circulation have been subsidized, going by the Appropriation Act. Because according to the Appropriation Act, subsidies have been provided until the end of June. So all the increase in the pump price we are seeing may not have been increased up to the point where it will bite hard to the point where Nigerians may start reacting. So for me, I think by the time independent marketers will start importing and the demand and supply start fixing the price, and Nigerians see that it is no longer what they can cope with, I think at that point they will start reacting. And when they start reacting, as long as their reaction is within the ambit of the law in terms of protest, I don't think anybody will say they are breaching any constitutional provision.
What do you think about this recent development that the federal government always rush to the court to secure interim injunction on matters that borders on the welfare of the citizenry as a way of subverting, of course, the will of the people and the demands of the people for good governance and of course, better life. Why is it that the government of Nigeria always rush to the court? The same court, of course, they always violate its injunctions or verdicts.
I think NLC and TUC equally lamented on the position of National Industrial Court giving an injunction suspending the strike. And according to them, what the decision of the National Industrial Court is even at variance with the position of Supreme Court. Because how can you now justify a situation where you are asking an aggrieved party to stay action? And all their demands, even before the controversy started, have not been addressed. And it's a way of buying time for federal government. Because if you are saying come back on the night to determine the substantive case, there's something that is not clear whether you vacate that order on that 19th or so. So it's a way of giving power to federal government to continue with the policy that's already biting hard on the people.
So why is judiciary perceived to be an instrument of oppression when it comes to matters of the public? But an average politician will always have his way, of course, maneuver over judicial process and will not, of course, sometimes violate the court's proceeding. The same court will also accept them when they come with their prayers. Don't you think that there is something fishy about that?
It's quite unfortunate that because in Nigeria, the way it stands today, we don't have strong institutions. What we have rather is strong individuals, strong political parties, and all that. So that must explain the reason the institutions of government can be toyed with, can be manipulated. In a society like Israel, we have seen a situation where a former Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, was questioned 5 times by Israeli police on the basis of allegation of corruption. So we are seeing even the United States of America, where a former President Donald Trump was arrested and his thumbprint taken. So for me, I think the reason we are seeing that in Nigeria is because we don't have strong institutions in Nigeria. We only have strong individuals, and those strong individuals tend to have the potential to manipulate those institutions.
So how can Nigeria get out of these woods? It appears that instead of things improving, it is getting worse. And millions are leaving the shores of this country. I mean, Nigerian citizens in search of greener pasture and safety, of course, the first instance. So why is Nigeria deteriorating abysmally? What could be done, I mean, to remedy this situation before it experiences total collapse?
Or to get a good leadership, it is practically possible to address all the wrong in the process. Because once you have the leadership rights, it trickles down to almost every strata of the society, almost every level of governance. But once it is wrong from the beginning, it goes from top to bottom. You could recall that before the last administration came on board, I'm talking about Muhammadu Buhari, there was high hope in terms of the ability of the government to fight corruption because of the perceived antecedent of the former president. But we now saw that after 8 years that the man was overrated, that he doesn't have that pedigree. So for me, I think until we get the leadership rights, that is where we can fight corruption. That is where we can stop all these abnormalities in our system.
I think the past administration institutionalized corruption, you see, and establish, of course, corruption to the extent that it becomes a norm within the Nigerian political sphere. Of course, the last election would attest to that even the presidential candidates of PDP lamented that even as of now, INEC have not been able to allow them access vital information that will help them, of course, uh, defend their petition. What exactly is happening with INEC?
INEC is an irresponsible entity as far as I'm concerned. Because under Nigerian legal jurisprudence, certified true copy of document is admissible in the law courts. So it worries one when an institution of government will issue a document certified, duly stamped and certified. The same institution will, through their lawyer in the court, will start asking the court not to admit such as exhibits in a case that involves the institution and other parties. It shows their level of partisanship. It shows their level of recklessness. It shows that they are not fair, they are not transparent, that they may have mismanaged the process. There's no other way of thinking about it rather than to accept that they compromise the system during the election.
Indeed, what are they actually trying to hide by not giving those documents to PDP for the onward prosecution? What exactly, after barely 4 months after the election, what is INEC and the Mahmoud Yakubu doing? Are they trying to cover up for, of course, the dirty dealings or what?
The truth is, the evidence is the what guides the court in arriving at decision on a particular case. In this case, election petition. And the result of the election, particularly the Form EC8A that emanates from the unit, Form EC8B that emanates from the ward level, Form EC8C that comes from the ward level through the process of collation, those are vital documents that will determine who actually won an election. So once those documents are certified true copy of the umpire that conducts the election and is tendered before the court, it will definitely guide the court on how to arrive at a decision of whether there was rigging, who won and who lost and all that. So that best explain the reason the umpire may be unwilling, having compromised during the election, to release those documents.
P2B have submitted some vital documents that covers spans across 12 states. Do you think that could be enough, or could the election presidential tribunal find reasons on the basis that the needed information or evidence were not enough, of course, to prosecute the case, and they eventually struck the case out? Would it be what they are envisaging by playing around with what INEC is doing?
The truth is that until one know the number in terms of areas where that has been challenged, the result of the election in the areas that have been challenged, vis-a-vis the total number of vote cast and all that, it is difficult to determine evidence from particular area whether it's reasonable, sufficient to upturn the result has been announced by INEC. So until you have the figures at your disposal and do an appraisal, it is difficult to make a comment on that. But what I can categorically say is that the petition, the electoral petition tribunal will largely rely on those evidence in arriving at its decision. So I think that is the important thing.
Obi is having a sway of the entire process.
Well, let us see how the court will handle it. Whether they will be able to do justice to all that the man is piecing together to show them that he has a genuine case. Let's see how they will handle it. But you know, Nigeria is such a place where the things that are happening now doesn't give many of us confidence that the right thing will be done. That is what is paining me. If it's in a country where the judiciary are not biased, they are not bought, the INEC are not bought, all these things we are talking now, we will not be going to court. Just some few days after that election, everything would have been known. Everything would have been known. All this one where they are swearing in somebody after a president has been sworn in, they are still talking about it. I don't understand the kind of justice that we will say they are doing to all this. That is my own view, candid view about the whole thing.
I think the provision of the electoral law gave room to such lacuna for politicians to exploit. See, otherwise, I don't see any reason why a man who scored less than 37% should be declared the winner. I think it should be on average of 50. And what do you think about that?
You can imagine the hurry with which INEC went and announced a winner when they have not exploited all the avenues. They have not exploited. They just you will know that there's something fishy. That is the problem we are having here. It look as if it's a cash something. Can you imagine the kind of situation they are put? In fact, the shame before international community. The international community are watching Nigeria. They knew that something is fishing here. They knew that the INEC, the judiciary, they have all been bought. Because you can see the way things are going now.
Honestly, but hopefully, based on the information, evidence that have been tendered and admitted by the presiding judge, I hope that they will look judiciously into it, and hopefully, would you expect excitement within the Nigerian populace should P2B finally win the case?
I will not be surprised, but I know that the way it is, they will not want. In fact, they will do everything to go against him. I was so surprised when El Rufai of Kaduna State, former governor of there, he was saying that Obi is not a Nigerian. I just looked at it as it's one of their gimmick. You understand? These are people, a bunch of people who have decided that they should power should be retained within the APC. So they did everything to make sure that power does not leave their fingers. And this was what Jonathan he just gave out as if he doesn't know the value of power that God have already given him. He just gave it out. Before people could ask him questions, he have already given power out. You can see the way the APC are handling the power now. The APC have never, the only thing they have done over these 8 years is to punish Nigerians more for voting them into power. It's very annoying. When we come and see that, even when the people, Nigerians, decide to vote and say, let us cast away these APC people, they still came back with another formula. They say they are the one that won the election. So you can understand. What are we going to be talking here? What kind of courts? What is courts going to say? Are they not been bribed? Can we say they are not being bribed? The thing is littered. Everything is open now.
Well, I think we should give them benefit of doubt, and if they prove otherwise, fine. But if they act within the force public domain or perception concerning them, then it means that should be an end to Nigerian judiciary. And if there's any confidence at all left, will be eroded. Now that the Labour Party have sheathed the sword by postponing the strike action, how do you think Nigeria could embrace such development?
What are we going to do? Nigerians, the ordinary Nigerians want peace. Now, ordinary Nigerians are peace-loving people. Their mandate have been stolen. They know it. They know it that their mandate have been stolen. Their mandate was stolen also in 2019. When the people will say this, those in authority or in some places of authority in corner try to stifle that. Look at just like the same thing that happened now. The people knew that the man that is there is not the person they voted for. All these things they are doing, going court, going there, it's just a kind of kangaroo something. Let us, they just organize something just to be talking. What people will each day to be calming nerves, we thank God that God is helping our country. These are things that bring serious crisis in other nations.
But how long do you think the people can tolerate this abnormality?
Personally, I don't know how long our people can tolerate it. We are waiting to see what their final verdict will be. Let's see what their final verdict will be. Let's see.
The rates at which people are leaving the shores of Nigeria with their families is alarming.
Of course.
And does it mean there is no hope for Nigerian citizens within the Nigerian states?
Nigeria is not yet ready to do the right thing. As long as they have wicked leaders, the Bible says that when the wicked bear rule, the people will murmur. When the righteous rule, the people will rejoice. What they need to do is to give power to the people whom the majority of people have voted for, and then they will see the people will rejoice. The people will be glad. That is the problem they are having presently.
It's quite unfortunate. It's a pleasure having you. Thank you for your time, sir.
God bless you.